Hi, we're the Garden Wise guys. I'm Owen Dell.
And I'm Billy Goodnick. Tonight we're going to show you how to create a beautiful, functional, sustainable garden, and we're going to save you some money too.
First off, we're going to bring you the last of 4 segments featuring Blaze Burns, local firefighter, and Leaf Gardener, local horticulturist. They've been designing and planning the Firescape demonstration garden at Mission Ridge Road and Stanwood Drive. It's been about 6 months since the garden was planted. Let's have a look and see how things are settling in.
Greg, this place is looking great. You guys at Valley Crest have done a fabulous job on the whole place. I was just going to kind of turn over the keys to Blaze and get him adjusted so he could take over. You have any advice for him?
Sure, there are a few things that are important in establishing new plants. You want to make sure the irrigation gets checked, and you want to make sure that it has proper coverage and there's no clogged nozzles. You also want to make sure that you keep the area weed-free. You want to make sure that the area is also mulched to help sustain its water and also keep the weeds down. That'll help the plants establish a lot quicker. On the irrigation, you want to make sure that you give it deep watering less frequently. This also helps the roots out on the new plants. So I'm going to go finish my irrigation audit on the controller. It's winter time, so we're going to be lowering the times and adjusting it as necessary. I'll catch you guys later.
So, you know, you've been learning a lot about the horticultural end of things. I've been learning so much more about Firewise landscaping. How about you kind of like quiz me, make sure I really understand this, because I want to just keep it as my own information.
That would be cool. You know, I've got this Firescape, the brochure here.
Oh, great. Okay.
And then maybe you could quiz me on some of this horticultural stuff.
We're out in Zone 4 now, which is the farthest from the house, and the principle here is to start taking some of the energy out of the fire.
Right.
Right, and we do that, well, here's one example. We limb the plants up so that if the fire's moving along the ground, it doesn't have a chance to take the fuel. I also see that we have these wide gaps between plantings, so although it's not the most photogenic, it's not going to make the cover of Garden Design magazine, it's really kind of the first place that you get to take a stand and slow the fire down.
Exactly.
Right.
We call that a discontinuous fuel source. Clumps of vegetation and open space. Well, this is an interesting one.
Uh-huh.
It looks like there's too much mulch at the base of this trunk.
Well, wait, isn't mulch a good thing?
Well, it's a good thing, but if it's too close to the trunk, it's going to cause the trunk to rot, and you could actually lose the plant.
That's right, because the moisture in the mulch holds against the plant.
So what we want to do is actually pull this mulch back and keep it pulled back for the life of the tree.
What about this one over here? It doesn't exactly look like a showpiece. You think we should just rip it out?
Oh, no. What I understand is this plant is coming out of summer dormancy.
Right.
And, of course, in California, we have dry summers, and the plants actually go dormant in response to drought.
To protect
when
themselves.
When the rains come, which hopefully will be soon, this plant's going to start to grow, and it'll look great. Okay, we're in Zone 3 here, which is about 60 to 100 feet away from the house, and it's comprised of mainly low plantings.
Right.
Do you remember what the plants do in terms of fire?
Sure. Plants need to be knee-high because we're trying to slow the fire down.
Right.
The characteristics of the plants themselves, they've got light leaves that'll burn quickly, so a lot of the energy of the fire just goes out of them. So here is giant lily turf called Liriope, and this is a form of Cotoneaster or clusterberry, and it gets beautiful little holly-shaped berries. We're getting into some really attractive plants at this point, but it's also how you select them and how they're grouped in here to take a little more energy out of the fire, right?
Excellent.
I'm getting it. So, Blaze, this is Australian fuchsia. About how big does it get?
Big, like maybe 6 feet at least.
And this is creeping barberry, and it gets...
Not very big.
Okay, and they're just about a foot from each other, so do you see a conflict here?
I would say that this will get buried by that.
Right, so, and we have others of each plant here. So is there anything we need to do?
Move some of the plants.
Right, so sometimes what happens is either you're not paying attention, you put plants too close together, the person who's installing them maybe moves some plants around, digs the holes in the wrong place. So this is the time while the plants are really young and portable to take advantage of that. So
yeah.
What are we going to do?
Oh, I think you should get a shovel maybe.
Shovel?
And maybe you should wear your hard hat.
Hard hat, okay.
And, dig it up. And while you're doing that,
okay,
I got some other things in Zone 3 I'm going to go look at.
Great, I got to do the real work here.
Okay, here's a really interesting situation. The permanent plants in this area are the society garlic and the African daisy. And those eventually will fill in this area and cover it completely. But what's interesting is there are these volunteer plants, which we sometimes call nurse plants, that just showed up. A little geranium, linaria, and some other things. And what they're going to do in the short term is cover the ground, help prevent erosion, add a little color and beauty while these other plants are growing in. Eventually they'll be crowded out by the permanent plantings. It's tempting to remove seedlings when you see them in the garden, but if you know that it's something that might perform a useful function, let it volunteer, let it do its thing, and over time everything will stabilize.
So, Blaze, not only beautiful, but Zone 2 is working great.
Hey, listen,
Okay.
and look at this pipe. You remember we didn't like the pipe?
Yeah.
And it's getting covered up
And
by the plants, right?
It's going away. Yeah.
So what about the fire stuff here?
Okay, fire stuff, we're in Zone 2. We're about, 30 to 60 feet
Right.
out from the house. This is where everything gets a little bit more kind of succulent and juicy, plants that have kind of a high water content. Even this oleander here tends to be kind of a high water retaining plant. So this is really where we're taking even more energy out of the fire.
Right.
Stuff's very reluctant to burn.
Exactly.
But you can still create attractive combinations in here. So that's what we're after from a fire point of view.
Yeah.
Right?
Very cool. Hey,
And-
yeah, the tree, I was just noticing. Did you check out the tree?
Well, if you remember, that's where the pepper tree was, which is really combustible.
Yep.
So,
And that's the Chitalpa, right?
right. So when we first put this tree in, it definitely needed some assistance. It seems now, just from how it's still moving around a little bit at the base, that it needs to remain staked. But one of the things you can do is start loosening this material up a little bit just to check. What I like to do is just pull them a little bit closer and have somebody move the tree around, see how it's holding up. So in this case, I think we want to leave this on for about a year and then start checking to see how it's doing.
Now here's a really important thing. Be patient with your new plantings because everything's going to grow in its own time and in its own way. For example, these plants are in full sun. They're doing great. Over in the shade, they're going to grow a little more slowly. That's perfectly normal. It's not a problem. So don't get impatient with it, pull them out or something, or try to fertilize them more. They're just going to do what they're going to do, and it's all right. Now, if you've done everything right, and you put the right plants in the right place, it's all going to grow together in a nice, stable situation. You're not going to have to intervene very much or do very much work. Okay, we're in Zone 1.
Yes.
And here's your final answer on the quiz. Answer.
Answer.
0 to 30 feet. Please respond in the form of a question.
What is the size, the distance from the house to the end of Zone 1?
Right!
30 feet.
Ding, 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 ding,
Got
ding.
it. Okay.
Great. Let's move on. Okay, question number 2. Which of these plants, the yarrow, the strawberry tree, or the cape reed, does not belong in Zone 1?
This one, because it's too big.
Actually, it's a trick question. It's a trick question.
Tricky.
Because in Zone 1, you can have different sized plants
Right.
as long as they're reluctant to burn.
Okay, so you have the low stuff around it, kind of makes an island of the somewhat larger plants.
It's a mixture. It's more interesting visually, and
Yeah.
it's okay. Okay, little feller. Question number 3. True or false?
Yes.
All trees need to be removed from Zone 1.
False. You can have trees in Zone 1. First thing, they've got to be at least 10 feet away from the house. That goes for any tree. Huh? Am I hot or
Excellent.
what?
You're hot.
Also, there are certain trees that are much more combustible. Things like eucalyptus, pine trees, things that have a lot of resin in them, tend to be almost explosive. So you don't want those anywhere in Zone 1. In fact, if you're in a high fire area, do without them. How'd I do?
Well, you're short, but you're smart.
Okay.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you, sir.
Now, when you're at the Firescape garden, be sure and stop by the kiosk. There's lots of great information here. There's a map of the garden, some facts about firescaping and firewise practices on the back. You can get a brochure that shows the entire garden, and you can get a fabulous plant list with all the plants on it. Oh, hey, I'm getting a call.
Yeah, I think I'm getting a call too.
Hello? Yes, we do fire safety assessments.
Yeah, we can send somebody out for a horticulture assessment.
I'll transfer your call to an expert.
Okay, so what is it?
Yeah, so anyway.
We've really enjoyed bringing you this feature about the Firescape garden, and we hope you've learned something that you can apply to your own garden. For more information, go to sbwater.org.
And here's a great quick tip. If you have whiteflies in your garden, you know how hard they can be to control. These yellow sticky cards, which are available at nurseries, attract the whitefly with their color and then trap them without using any toxins at all. It's really a great way to go. We'll be right back.
What is it, Dropfather?
Well, Vinny,
Word on the street says that people have been wasting water.
What do you mean?
People have been saying that he doesn't even take a 5-minute shower. That he leaves his sprinklers on for hours. He doesn't even wash a full load of dishes and clothes.
Nah.
So who is this person, Vinny?
I don't know.
You're a bad liar, Vinny. Just take a look at this water bill. You messed up, Vinny. Thought you could get away with it, and now you're gonna pay for it.
Please let me go on this one, Dropfather.
I can't, Vinny. What would the people think of me if I let you go on this one? But you're like a brother to me. That's why I'm gonna let you go off easy. Since you like water so much, Vinny, I'm gonna let you swim with the fishes. Take them to the docks, boys.
Every morning at 8 a.m., Dave's lawn sprinklers turn on. Dave likes knowing that no matter what, his lawn is getting watered. So's the left side of his driveway. Jake Walter's bike. The curb running downhill on Garden Street. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, Dave also waters the Browns' dachshund. There's a Dave in every neighborhood. Log on to sbwater.org to learn the best settings for your sprinklers.
Welcome back to the Garden Wise Guys. Now let's go to Merrill Gassey with Cookin in Brooklyn. Have a look.
Hey, how you doing? Merrill Gassey here. You're on Cookin' with Brooklyn. You already know that. So today, Brooklyn's like synonymous with pizza pie. So I'm going to do a pizza pie, but you got the fancy schmancy stuff. You know, you got like, what's his name, Wolfgang, and he's putting all the fancy ingredients. So I'm going to Brooklynize a pizza a little bit. So instead of the prosciutto, we got some Coney Island hot dogs. Instead of the Asiago stuff, we got some aerosol cheese. I'm going to get the rest of my ingredients. Come on over here. Okay, so... what's going on here? You're supposed to get me the ingredients. This is my brother-in-law, you know, from Santa Barbara, whatever. He's not making it. So look, you, get me my stuff. I need it right now. I'm going to stall for time.
So what my brother-in-law doesn't know is that I got all that rotten artery clogging junk out of the refrigerator because, I mean, who needs that stuff? You know, there are so many great food plants that are also ornamental and they're easy to grow. It's not that hard. We're at the home of Linda Bazell Saltzman and Larry Saltzman, who over quite a number of years have transformed this third of an acre, totally conventional suburban property into a living food forest based on permaculture principles. They've got tons of stuff here. I really want to show you. Let's take a walk. Oh, by the way, permaculture is a system of creating a stable food community, you might say, and making the land productive without doing a lot of work or having a lot of inputs or creating a lot of problems. Let's take a look. By the way, we've got grapevines on this arbor. We've got roses. Most people think of roses as just an ornamental. These are heritage roses, but all roses have what they call hips, which is the fruit of the rose. Here's one here, loaded with vitamin C. So they're actually using the roses as an edible plant. Here we have a little plot with some strawberries and some herbs in it. Very simple. Anybody can do this. Rosemary. Pizza? You want to talk pizza? You got to have rosemary. A Mediterranean shrub. It doesn't require any water. It really doesn't require any care. So here's another great plant. It's fennel, and it's a big gourmet thing in all the restaurants now. Fennel is another Mediterranean plant that's so easy to grow, it's unbelievable. And the flowers attract beneficial insects, so it's got lots of really nice features. Here's an apricot tree, simple thing. World's largest known source of apricots. It's fantastic, easy to grow. By the way, once these trees are established, you can really dry farm. That is to say, you don't need to water these trees. They're going to do fine on rainfall. Oh, here's a great plant. This is one of my favorites. It's the pineapple guava. It's another easy drought tolerant plant. Not only is the fruit edible, the flowers are edible as well. It's a beautiful ornamental, requires no care, gets no pests. It's just an absolute zero care plant. In fact, the fruit fall on the ground. You don't even have to pick them. How cool is that? Another great plant. This is a loquat. It produces a fruit kind of like a cross between an apricot, peach, small, delicious fruit. Zero maintenance, doesn't need anything from you. You just go get the fruit. Fantastic. So here's another thing. They're letting the seedlings of the oak trees, the coast live oak, grow naturally. Now this used to be an oak woodland. It's actually coming back. There are quite a few of the oak trees here, and eventually those will take over the canopy, and someday people will be able to eat the acorns just like the chumash did. Bananas. How amazing is it to be able to grow bananas right here in Santa Barbara? This is a young plant. In a couple of years it'll be huge and it'll begin to bear giant, giant bunches of bananas without much effort from you. Now, this likes a little more water than other things, so it might be nice to put it, say, under a downspout where it'll catch some of the rainwater off the roof. Oh, one of the other things that's in here are these cannas. Now, most people think of cannas as an ornamental plant, and that's true, but there are certain varieties that are actually edible. So you've got cannas and bananas in the same spot. One of the things that makes this garden so easy to live with is mulch. So mulch is an example of stacking functions, which is a permaculture principle. The idea that nothing does just one thing. So the mulch holds the weeds down, keeps the water in, returns nutrients to the soil, provides a nice place to walk, and 10 or 12 other things. It's a fantastic way to make use of all the things that are growing here, cut them up, let them drop, and they go back to the earth. You might wonder, how hard is it to do this? There's an awful lot here, and there's a bunch of stuff going on. You do have some pruning, you have a little bit of pest control once in a while, but if the garden's in balance, that isn't going to be too big a deal. Mostly, this is a pretty easy thing to set up and manage. Once the trees get established, you don't need to water. The mulch keeps the weeds down. It's not that hard, and look at all the food that you get.
Okay, I need some ingredients. Somebody help me out? Anybody? Oh, great. My crew always comes through. What do we got in here? Okay. Oh, good. Okay, we got mouthwash. We got foot powder. Got some horseradish, some stomach stuff. Bingo! Okay, we're making soup. This is going to be good. Okay, hang on a second. Yo, Sprout Boy. Look, I need my other ingredients.
Yeah, I'm coming. Hold your horses, okay? I'm bringing you some great stuff. Yeah, don't worry about it. Okay, hey, we're at the Pilgrim Terrace Community Garden. I'm here with Serena Childress, one of the gardeners. And what I want to know is this beautiful garden plot. How do people do this at home? It's gorgeous.
You start with the soil. Soil is the most important thing. It's got to be good and rich. You put in the amendments. It might be compost, could be manure, could be a little bit of worm castings. And then you work with the water. You need to have maybe a little soaker hose system, because that's real efficient. You can be running your hose while you're working in your plot.
So you're watering and working here at the same time because
Often.
you're only here for a while.
Right.
Okay. Now you're ready to plant, right?
Yeah, and
okay.
The easiest way to plant is just go right to that nursery and get some little transplants. And then other times it's real important to plant from seed, because some plants don't do as well when they're transplanted. Like your squashes, your pumpkins, zucchini. You just pop it right in the ground. And then a lot of people plant things they can't get at maybe the farmer's market or other places in the grocery store. Because then they can have specialty foods. And boy, when you add those to your salad fresh, so good.
So what is that, by the way?
This is arugula, and here's some snow peas.
Okay, so this isn't hard.
No.
There's just a few steps involved, and anybody can do it.
That's right.
And you can feed, how much of this, how much do you buy at the grocery store? How much do you eat from
I
this
don't.
plot?
I have all my vegetables out of this 10 by 20 plot.
Serena, why don't you show us how to grow some of these plants?
All right. Peas are one of the most wonderful things you can grow in your garden. First thing, the secret with peas is put up a trellis. And put it up now. Otherwise they run away. You'd be amazed how fast they grow. Every time you get a flower, you've got a pea. And here we have some really nice peas coming in, the first of this group here. And one thing you can do is save a lot of space in your garden. Just even with a small space by your house, you can put in, here I have a couple of cauliflowers and some red cabbage, and there's some beets tucked in down at the bottom, and the peas up the back. Yeah, and cilantro.
What's this beautiful plant here?
This is borage, which is an herb, and it's called, it makes an oil for it's brain food.
Oh, I could use that.
You can put the flowers, they're edible. You just put the flowers right in your salad.
So, Serena, is this broccoli?
This is broccoli, and the easiest way to start this is from a little transplant at the nursery. And what happens, once you've taken off that big, beautiful head that comes out first when the plant is just getting up into its first vigor, then you just let it make little branches. And you have little broccolinettes.
Even though this doesn't look like grocery store broccoli, these are all perfectly edible then.
This grows all year long. You have broccoli all year. There's not just one broccoli head and it's done. So this makes your planting and gardening very easy because you have a continuous supply.
This is carrots, right?
Carrots. Carrots are easy to grow. They need a little bit of sand in the soil, and they need a fluffy enough soil that they can actually put that little root down. Because when we have carrots, we're actually eating the root. And these are some little special carrots that I planted. They're just little round carrots, like a beet shape.
Interesting.
So these are more for little snacking carrots. And I'll give you some of these to take with you.
Wow, look at this bell pepper. That's gorgeous. Now, that's not too hard to do at home, is it?
No, it isn't. These bell peppers are heavy feeders, so you want to give them lots of compost, lots of manure when you start them up. And then during the season, one of the tricks about bell peppers that a lot of people don't know is you take simply a tablespoon of Epsom salts, dilute it in a gallon of water, and spray them. And they love it. Put it all over their leaves, spray up and underneath and on the top, and they'll grow like crazy. Epsom salts.
Like you get at the grocery store.
Cheap right at the grocery store. Any home grower can do it.
So it looks like we got some oregano, and what else do we have here?
Oh, we've got some sage, thyme. Society garlic is edible, the flowers. And calendula. The petals are edible, and this is an herb that's used for healing skin, scrapes, burns. It's great stuff.
And it's beautiful.
And it's beautiful.
Serena, this has just been incredible. I can't resist. You know, I have to tell Meryl about this because this is so good.
Okay, so I found some eggs, I found some peanut butter, I found some clam sauce. We're making an omelet. Okay, what? Yeah.
Listen, man. Hey, I got such good stuff for you. You're not going to believe it. These carrots are fantastic. I'm bringing fruit. I'm bringing snow peas.
Fruit, some vegetables. Okay, that'll be fine. Bring it in. Get your butt back here. Okay, so tune in next week when we'll be making a lovely fruit tart with a light salad with a vinaigrette dressing. Thanks for tuning in. Cooking in Brooklyn. Thank you very much. Toodaloo.
Coming up next, America's Most Watered. Stay tuned.
This is a droplet of water. Because it's so important, we can't waste it. Don't let that water get away! Water is a resource, so don't waste it and don't pollute it, because it'll damage and ruin the environment in which we live.
Oh my gosh, I'm so bloated. I mean, look at my stem.
You do look a little puffy.
I totally can't believe how much water I'm retaining.
Me too. This guy needs to cut back on watering.
He must be trying to drown us or something.
Shh, look, across the street. There she is, the California sunflower.
How can a flower look that good this time of year?
I don't think I've seen her get even one drop of water.
Well, it did rain 3 months ago.
Don't overwater your plants. Learn more at svwater.org.
Oh, come on, again?
You're killing me.
This should be close enough.
Welcome to America's Most Watered. What you've just seen is a typical example of someone who breaks a sprinkler and pays no attention to the sprinkler they choose to replace that broken sprinkler.
You know, if you replace with something different than what's there, it's not going to be the same. You're going to throw too much water, you're not going to throw enough water, and you're going to end up with brown spots. It's going to waste your money, it's going to waste your time and the system's efficiency.
So if you've got a sprinkler that's always been throwing 15 feet and you don't match it with the 15 feet, that's where the brown spots come in, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So be sure, when you're switching your sprinklers, you better match it.
Yeah. Now, look at this next segment. We caught him right in the act.
I can't believe my neighbor actually installed separate valves for his lawn and shrub beds. I can water everything with this simple all-in-one sprinkler. Maybe I can even patent it and make some real money.
Do you have any idea what this guy's up to?
Well, it looks to me as if with that sprinkler up on the ladder and the fan, he's hoping that he can irrigate the entire yard by just blowing water everywhere.
How ridiculous.
Obviously, he doesn't get the idea of hydrozones.
No, you can't water everything at once. You've got to water all the plants together that like the same amount of water on the same station. Hydrozones.
Right. So if you have the cactus and the fern out there, you're either going to overwater one or you're going to underwater the other. So pick out which one you want to sacrifice. or split up the system so you can water each plant the way it's supposed to be.
And you're going to save some money, too, if you're not replacing plants that are dying.
Yeah.
And you're not watering plants that don't need water.
Exactly. Hey, this next segment, I can't believe what this guy's up to. Watch this. So it's pretty clear from this behavior that he's got a sprinkler system that just isn't up to the job. He must have dry spots, and he's using the bowl to throw the water around to other areas. Now, getting a sprinkler system in perfect balance is something that might be a little difficult for homeowners to do on their own, don't you think?
I agree with you. That's like when we approached him, we told him that he was going to probably have to schedule an audit.
Well, I guess audit was a little bit of a sensitive term for him. Actually, we call it a water checkup. So what typically happens when you go out to do a water checkup?
I run each station. We take a look at where the water is throwing, make sure it's not going on the hardscape, make sure it's not going down the street, and make sure each of the stations is watering a hydrozone. Remember, hydrozones are same plants, same water needs.
Right.
We also look for repairs, any potential. Maybe there's a sprinkler that was replaced and it's not matching. Means that it's not going to be throwing efficiently. We want to look at the irrigation controller and make sure that its schedule is scheduled appropriately for the plants, that it's scheduled appropriately for the seasons, and if it's raining, it's turned off.
Sounds like a great service. For more information, go to sbwater.org and you'll find the list of all the different water suppliers in the area and how to set up your own water checkup. So, keep your eyes open.
And your sprinklers tuned.
Thanks for watching. And now it's time for our plant spotlight with Owen Dell.
Hello.
Hello.
Aloe. Well, winter is aloe time in Santa Barbara. These great plants are featured at the Firescape garden because they're high moisture content and very reluctant to burn. They come in all different forms, from low ground covers to small trees. They're a winter bloomer, which is really nice because not too many things are in flower in the wintertime. And the flowers come in yellow, orange, or even reddish tones. They're super drought tolerant and really easy to grow almost anywhere in Santa Barbara, even under seaside conditions. The only caution is to not use them in low-lying areas where they might be subject to frost. Give them a try.
And now, a moment with Randy Mooney. Did you ever wonder about people who leave fruit trees unpicked or let crops rot on the ground? My neighbor has a few fruit trees, but once he harvests a couple of peaches, it seems like everything else just turns to worm food. It's just so wasteful. I have a great vegetable garden, but when it's producing more food than my wife and I can consume, I have a couple of alternatives to prevent everything from going to waste. First, I bring all this good stuff to work, and I like to share it with the crew. Oh, I thought you liked squash. But there's a great new program in town called Neighborhood Food Shed Project, and it's really starting to take off. Neighbors meet a couple of times a month and exchange their surplus with each other. It's a great way to meet people, learn about growing different plants, and discover new foods. You know, I'll bet if my neighbor could grow a pretzel and beer tree, there'd be nothing going to waste next door. Guys? Thank you, Randy. Another profound commentary.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, thanks for watching. We hope you learned something that you can use in your own garden. And don't forget to visit sbwater.org.
Hey, remember the time you were working with those sticky cards that got stuck in your beard? And I was...
Yeah, well, there's something about yellow that attracts me. I don't know, I see yellow and I just kind of, you know, I don't know why. I think I must be part white fly.
I think, or
my great-great-grandfather on my mother's side.
Your mother's father's.
Yeah.